teach budgeting at Rutgers, among other things, and I was just out in Portland, Oregon in October, and I stayed at Waverly Country Club, and the superintendent was explaining to me when I looked out at his fleet going out in the dark. He said, I was the last holdout, and I said, really, the last holdout? He says, yep, I was the very last club in the area, in Portland, Oregon, to cut greens by hand, and that changed this year. Not a single one of them was cutting by hand. It's all triplex mowers on greens. So I thought that was interesting. I am going to tell you today that as a 60-year-old man, I walked in and there was a lineup of all these MGA people and USGA people, and every one of them looks like an intern to me. I'm not sure if they're getting younger or if I'm getting older. I'm pretty sure it's a combination of that. But I always thought that social media was all about, well, I had this to eat today, or hey, I got a mani-pedi, and quite frankly, it was something that I wasn't interested in. 6 years ago, a friend of mine, I'm a soccer guy, I was playing soccer with my old man soccer league, which is in essence a beer league, and it was a Sunday morning, and we were playing in the Armory at 7 o'clock in the morning, and one of my guys was all puffy. His face was all puffy, and I said, what's going on, Matt? And he said, what do you mean? He says, you're all puffy, you don't look well. And then later that week, we played on our Wednesday night game, and we were having a couple of beers with the guys, and he shared with us something that we didn't know, and that he was dying. He had a liver problem that he had for 20 years, and he needed a new liver. And he was on the cadaver list, the donor list, and none was available, and he was months away from being dead. And there was a new technique just coming on board, just fairly new. It's more elaborate now, called living donor. Living donor is when somebody gives 2/3 of their liver to someone who's sick. And the donor regenerates, and if everything goes right, you can save a life this way. Well, the soccer guys got together and we said, well, we want to help. And he was private about this. He didn't tell anybody. He was just sharing his story, telling us that he was dying. And we said, well, we want to help. We're going to at least get the word out. Will you let us do it? Will you let us get the word out? And he said, yeah. And I do a lot of writing, so the guys asked me, would you write this letter? So I wrote a letter, and we sent it to 3,000 members of the Westfield Soccer Association. This is 6 years ago. And that letter went viral, and it went on around the country overnight. And it ended up on the desk in Richmond, Virginia, of his college roommate. They both played on the Richmond Spiders soccer team. And I've later heard a story from this person's wife. I just found out why I went sober 4 years ago. And the wife goes running, what do you mean, what's going on? And he shared this letter with my friend Matt, who was dying. I'm going to give him my liver. And because this is not an altruistic, there's a lot of difficulties with giving a liver. You've got a chance you could die by doing that. It's not like a kidney, so giving bone marrow. So he went through all the testing at Columbia Presbyterian and was a match. And that took about 6 weeks. And about 6 weeks later, Matt was calling all of his old friends, including his old soccer buddies, and explaining to them that, well, he was sick and it doesn't look good. And he called Patrick Carson. And Patrick said, well, it's interesting you mentioned that, Matt, because Matt didn't know that Patrick knew that Matt was sick. He says, because I just got approval today that we're a match, and I'm going to give you my liver. And that was an astonishing moment, and that was the power of social media. In this case, it was an email chain. There was a lot more testing that had to be done. A lot of it was psychological. Are you prepared to risk your life for this friend? But the story is Thanksgiving of that year, these two Richmond Spiders got together, and the guy on the left gave the guy on the right his 2/3 of his liver. And this is after his operation, and there they are on the beach 3 years later. So I found out that the power of social media is just not telling me about mani-pedis and some other things. It's about maybe life-changing things. I want to talk about other things. I want to talk about social media. There's our friend Dave Otis over there. What do I use social media for? At Echo Lake Country Club, I do it to inform, to educate, to show the members something they normally don't see. Here's an example of it. Superintendents pay attention to what's under the ground. Golfers pay attention to what the ground is, the surface. So here's my chance to bridge that communication gap and show the root structure on one of my greens, for example. And to engage. Humanize your staff, and more importantly, to entertain. All of these things have worked out very well for me at Echo Lake Country Club. And it started with the guidance of the Green Chairman and said, we're going to set you up with a Twitter account. And really what it enabled me to do is to do something that I teach at Rutgers, if you can't bring the members to the problem, take the problem to them and the solution. So here's an example. I showed this last year. This is my 17th green, 9 o'clock in the morning, shade on bent grass, and superintendent's in the room, no shade, and bent grass means that I'm going to have dead grass there. I showed that to our members, and I showed that by Twitter, and about 2 months later, so you can see the background is my shop. The next picture is taken from my shop, and you can see sunshine in the morning because a lot of those woody weeds were destroyed, and it now has some sun in the morning on that. So there's an example of using Twitter to inform. In this case, this is summer patch. This is disease in my rough. And I use this picture as a way to inform. On the right is the fairway, there's the intermediate rough that apparently I need to get rid of, and then there's the rough, and you can see if you can see some of the rough is in very good shape right there, and then to the left of it is summer patch, which is a fungus disease, it's a root disease. And that isn't a moisture problem or a fertilizer problem, that's a disease. So I showed that picture and I explained to my members that's what's needed here is to apply a preventive material. And we've since done that, and we've also improved the quality of the golf course, the rough along the way with overseeding and some other things. So inform. There is no, many Greens chairmen are surprised to learn the crazy amount of hours and time that goes into preparing bunkers. At my club, I spend a little bit more than twice as much money and time on bunkers as I do on my greens. And if you really think about it, that we're spending more money on our hazards than on the playing surfaces, that is the most important on the golf course. So if you really wanted to change things, let's stop breaking the bunkers. And good luck with that, but it would save some money. But in my club, like probably everyone in here, we have to spend a lot of time in bunkers. And I want to make sure that my members know that I am spending time in bunkers. So my Twitter account enables me to show edging and packing down sand and changing to the Australian method of bunker breaking. In this case, one of the things that superintendents do is we're electricians, we're irrigation technologists, we're to a certain extent computer specialists, so I'm just showing, we had a lightning strike, and those are, that's a 50-cent fuse, it's a $6,500 computer controller, and we had 15 of those, so I had to diagnose it, find it, and I wanted my members to know that that's one of the parts things that I do. I'm a diagnostician. I'm talking about return in value, 50 cents on a $5,000 number. I talk about the ramifications of weather every time I can because the big variable that superintendents deal with is weather, if you think about it. Talk about that's an in-house repair. A chance to do some vertiquaking, which is loosening their soil. This is just a chance to get the word out. Or if we're aerifying, I think a lot of members think that we superintendents aerify just to mess with them. They think that we're just trying to annoy them, and to a certain extent that's true, but the reality of it is what we're trying to do is do this. We're trying to grow roots. So an opportunity when we aerify to tell the why. So this picture sort of introduced the next tweet, which is the why. Why do we aerify? And these are the kinds of information items that we can get to our members very easily and simply, and it talks about the why, and the why is so critical. This is my friend, Dr. Huang from Rutgers. We teach a seminar on physiology at the national show, and the research that goes on, science that goes on in support of our profession at the universities, at Rutgers University in particular, where I am heavily affiliated, is phenomenal. So if I get a chance to talk about this secret sauce she's developing that is going to make grass recover from 16 days at 98 degrees in a growth chamber, that's what she's got there. She's got this magic material that's going to be released in a couple of years. It's pretty spectacular. Or as Paul mentioned, the Rutgers Field Days. So I have a picture of Rutgers Field Days that I get out, 750 turfgrass professionals at the Rutgers Field Days, learning about the turf, the science of the turf and what goes on behind the scenes to make grasses and to develop grasses and these kinds of things. So what are we trying to achieve with social media? What I'm trying to achieve is to get the word out to inform. I want you to talk about there's different aspects of that. There's different organizations. So we've got a golf association like the MGA. We've got a public golf course, a green department of a private club like me. We've got a golf professional staff or perhaps even a clubhouse manager. From a golf association's perspective, we could build our brand. You've heard that word a lot, probably, in recent memory, certainly. Engage with members, expand membership, initiate interest in programs, gain support and form, and grow. Golf associations have got to sort of do a lot of things. They've got to talk about rules and tournaments and the good that they do and meetings like this. I'm sure this is going to be out on social. In fact, we're streaming live on Facebook right now. So welcome to the 21st century. Public golf courses a little bit different, where they're trying to introduce the product and get people to come and spend their money. They want to engage as well. They want to entice people to come out and play the golf course or come back. They want to expand. They want to grow. They certainly want to build their brand and they want to make money. You can't blame them for any of those things. And social media, there's a lot of different ways for them to do that. A golf professional staff wants to engage with members. It sounds familiar. Encourage participation in events, entice people to come to the club. Inform members of results, sell merchandise, and promote the club. So there's a lot of things going on with different aspects. Clubhouse manager, it's going to be the same thing, but it's still going to be a slightly different take. They're going to engage with members. They're going to update and inform members on the event. Don't forget to sign up for New Year's Eve is coming up, or opening day. Don't forget Stag Night, or whatever it is that's going on. So sign-ups are important. Tonight's dinner special, so I get that. I get that by email from the club a lot. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't need to know what tonight's dinner specials are twice a day, every day of the week. So I tend to zap those, but there are times and timeliness when it makes sense. It drives activity with the club, there's no question about it. But a green department is almost like the silent service. A lot of what we do is invisible. As golf course superintendents, one of the things that we have to do is humanize our program, to talk about what we do and why we do it. Because most of the time, we get the majority of our work before players get out there. There are some players that think elves do it, and they don't. These highly overpriced laborers do it. And another way of looking at it is these underpaid laborers do it. My job as a golf course superintendent at Echo Lake Country Club is to humanize them and to articulate their value. And it's also an opportunity for me to talk about our goals and our mission. If you really think about it, I'm at Echo Lake Country Club. I'm just starting my 34 years at a private club. They give murderers less time than that, and I've survived 34 years and hope to make it to my retirement. We'll see how that goes. But there's nobody at my club that was there at my hiring committee and is still there. They don't know what we talked about on that first day. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter what we talked about on our first day. What matters is what's important to my members now. I talk about that in the budget process and how the cover letter of your budget is your State of the Union address, and we talk about goals and aspirations and how we did and where we're going. Well, I have found that my social media presence has really enabled me to get that word out to my members in a very meaningful and important way. So I talk about our missions and our goals, and I don't make it sound like mission statements and all that kind of stuff. I do it subtly, but in essence, that's what I'm trying to do. So here's what we are trying to do. Here's what we're doing. Here's why we're doing it. Is a part of what I do. I talk about updates. I talk about projects. Last year I talked about our big master plan project. We did a lot of renovation. That was very interesting for a lot of people. I like to humanize the staff and make them turn them into human beings, not just a dollar figure. I inform, I educate, and I entertain. I like to gently train. There's some guys out there that go way overboard. We're going to talk about the ugly a little bit. I'm not going to point out names, but I like to gently entertain. Here's the best way to fix the ball mark. Thank you is sort of like my way of putting it. I've seen some people threaten, if the next person doesn't fix a ball mark, it's going to get a stimp meter upside their head. It's not a good idea. The reality of it is I just think acting professionally and getting the word out is the best way. And what I'm really trying to do is engage my members in non-dealing conversation. And that's where I get to tremendous value. So which platform? There's lots of platforms. Facebook is one that many of you know. It's a community, usually of a group. Twitter is what many superintendents are on. It's sort of instant bites of information. Instagram is an interesting brand building type of episode or exercise, and LinkedIn is more of a professional site. I'm going to sort of talk about Facebook real quickly. I'm on Facebook for one reason only. That's to follow my liver friend, who is not only still alive, but just won the 5K national 5K transplant race out in Salt Lake City, Utah, and that's him and his transplant buddy running. So there's my little social media story. That's the only thing I do on Facebook. And every time I sign on to Facebook, I've got to make a new password because I don't remember my password for this thing. There it is. Want to engage millennials and the young. Instagram is the play. Interesting because I've gone to, over the last 3 or 4 years, I've gone to some pro-ams with the LPGA and got to meet some of these lovely young women, and they're promoting their sport. And they've made me a fan of women's golf. And I had dinner with Anna Nordqvist, and I'm sitting next to her. This is at the Borgata Hotel where we run this big conference, and she's taking a bite out of this chocolate name tag. And she said, "Hey, take a picture of me, Chris." And I took a picture, and she posted it on her thing, on her Twitter account, and all of a sudden I had 4,000 opens and some followers, and she put it on her Instagram page. And Instagram is different. That's just an engagement. And what she does here, she's got an Instagram page, And all these pictures, for those that aren't on Instagram, I am not on Instagram, for example. I would imagine many of the people, many of the older people in this room are not. Anybody who's under the age of 30 is. It's just the way it is. So this is her opening page. She's got 45,000 followers. I do not have 45,000 followers, I'll be happy to know. And you can push on any one of those pictures and up comes comments or little statements of what it is. And underneath it, there are 1,200 likes. And these are all kinds of people who are commenting, responding to Anna Nordqvist's picture of her eating her name tag. And, oh, that's great, looks great, terrific, like that. So I'm talking to these LPGA women about their Instagram presence and social media presence. And very interesting because they, to a person, said, well, the first thing you do is you never read the comments. And I said, you don't read the comments? Oh no, you never read the comments, it's too disturbing because people troll and you bad things. You don't read the comments. So it's a one-way conversation for many of these people, not everyone, but for many of them to have this one-way conversation on that page. And if you look at it, you're looking at sort of an idealized world. There in the middle is the chocolate being eaten, and this is just, everyone is just a little picture, if you will, of a professional golfer. I tell you that because I coach high school soccer, among other things, and one of the things that we are very keenly aware of are the dangers of social media. I'm not here to talk about the dangers of social media, but I will just tell you that there are many. A lot of it has to do with this fake world that is being set up with Instagram accounts and this presence, everything's perfect, and look at this meal I ate, look at this life I'm living. And many times that's not the way it is. There's a very poignant and trenchant book that just came out, What Made Maddie Run. This is about a girls soccer player. I coach girls soccer, and her suicide, and how social media played a presence in that apparently great world, but the reality of it was there was a lot more going on there. So there is a cautionary tale with some of this social media stuff. I'm not here to talk about that today in the presence of professionals. We're here to talk about professional stuff. LinkedIn is something I made the mistake of signing up for once. I run this big education conference, and I've got about 8,000 email addresses for all these professors around the country and around, and people that I know. And I still have an AOL account. I don't do it ironically. I've got it because I started when it was a dial-in modem thing, and I just kept the address. And I made the mistake of trying to find somebody, and I said, do you want to sign up for LinkedIn? I said, yeah, I'll sign up for LinkedIn. And I pushed the wrong button, apparently, and apparently I sent an invitation to 8,000 people to now join me in LinkedIn, and it was like a slot machine going off, bing, 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 bing. And I said, well, what's going on? Something's wrong with my computer. And I told my friends this. I had about 1,800 LinkedIn subscribers in like a week, and then they said, what'd you do with it? I said, I eliminated the account because I couldn't take the pressure of all these people wanting to be a part of it. So I'm not the best to talk about social media. I'm just telling you the way it is. This is Constant Contact, the New Jersey Turfgrass Association, with which I am heavily involved. Just a way of getting messages out in a more organized way. This is our updates from the association talking about just the communication, reach out, bridging the communication gap between at-large members and the leadership. All of these are social media campaigns. All of them are effective, but I'm going to talk today a little bit about which is one that I used, what I used, and what I consider to be extremely valuable, and that is the Twitter account. I'm interested in how many people in this room are on Twitter, just by a show of hands on Twitter. Many, but a lot of the old guys kept your hands down. That was me. That was me. I didn't realize the value of Twitter. I had a new green chairman come in. He was a tuned-in guy. He was sort of a 40-year-old Wall Street guy, and I was talking about resurrecting a blog. I'm not a big fan of the blogs because you got to go to the website and you got to maneuver through. He said, we're going to get you on Twitter. And we got on Twitter. And the Twitter thing has been fabulous as a communication tool for me and Echo Country Club. I teach this subject at Rutgers, and again, I'm going to show you a picture. Many superintendents in the room have got some wall that looks like this in their shop. This is just all the right to know stuff, and it's wallpaper. I mean, nobody's going to stand there and read that. They're just not. You cannot put a picture up there in one of those blanks and expect them to look at it. So what I have done to get a clear message is I put a small bulletin board. I put it over the time clock in my shop where everybody goes in and out at the end of the day, and it's a very clear, simple, cohesive, cogent message. So it's a way of separating the noise and just using that little application just to talk about, in this case, standards of bunker maintenance. So what are we trying to achieve with social media? What am I trying to achieve? It's different than many other people. I'm not trying to achieve pure growth, but if you are trying to achieve pure growth, as the MGA might, as the state golf associations might, probably using all of these platforms is going to make sense. And having a professional involved in tweaking the various posts on each one of these is going to make sense. For me, what I'm trying to do, what I am doing, is telling the message of the Echo Lake Green Department to the members of Echo Lake Country Club. That's my mission. Along the way, I've picked up followers who are superintendents or assistants or students that I've taught, but I don't address that group. I address the members of Echo Lake Country Club. So it's not science I'm giving information and education to the members of the club. So, what do? I like to show the bigger picture. So, industry trends, for example. Today we're talking about labor. It's a great opportunity to reinforce that need, or course closings, or what am I involved with? If I'm involved or my assistants are involved with association or volunteering or community service, I talk about weather. Golf, I'll retweet interesting, not all the time, but once in a while, interesting golf things. Why? Because as a general rule, my members don't care about turf. They care about golf. So if I can show that I too care about golf, it's a way of me to connect with them in various ways. And I don't hit a home run with everything I put out there, but every once in a while I'll put a picture of the original Redan hole after I played it with some members at North Berwick and talk about the value of the Redan hole and the origins of the Redan hole, for example, that resonated with a bunch of people, but not everybody. At times I focus on the small stuff. So what do you guys do in the winter? Is a question that every superintendent in the room has heard many times, and you can respond, with well, we do this and we do that, or you can tell the truth. We sit around and we play cards. You can tell that was a joke. You can laugh at that one. We don't sit around and play cards. We actually work hard, but we do a lot of prepping. We can talk about what we do in the morning before the crew gets there, or before the golfers get there. We can show wildlife on the golf course. We can show trees and flowers, all kinds of different things. What's worked for me at Echo Lake Country Club, which tried to work for me, the last joke didn't work, but I tried humor. They can't all be gems, guys. I try to go with good photographs. I try to show interesting facts. I try to have the history of our club, golf architecture, problems and solutions, project updates. And I do try to coordinate with the clubhouse and the pro shop on a variety of different things. So, I'm up there on Caddy Day, and just to show you how my mind works, and this is Caddy Day. It's an outing where 60 or 70 caddies going to go up there, and I'm looking at that spread they're putting out for the caddies, which is better than the members of the meet. That's a hell of a heck of a feat. I'm live on Facebook. Heck of a moment. So I took a picture of that, and I took a picture of the cookies, and then I put this on there. And some people got it, and some people didn't. This is a Caddyshack reference. Superintendents would understand this. And, caddies walk at 1:15 to 1:30. You know what I mean? Or this one. These are my LPGA friends. I said, do I really want to push that picture on there? Because it's a little awkward. So I went with humor. All these ladies, you might recognize just Drew Pillar I'm sitting next to. They just laughed. They thought it was hilarious. This is what I said, I'm the one in the striped shirt, so that's the way I look at it. But focusing on photography is something that I'm sort of a hobby of mine. This is one of my mechanics taking a picture of a picture I just took, the value of photography. So sometimes I'm going to post this. This is just a frosty morning on the machine, just a pattern of frost, and I'll put that on there. And that got a lot of people interested, just because it's something different. We had a a polo junior invitational this year at Echo Lake Country Club, so this is during a tournament, just a nice picture. I was at the controllers and there were kids running through the sprinklers, so I took that picture, and my comment was something like, sometimes the only thing to do is to run through the sprinklers, or something like that, which resonated as well. So again, what am I talking about? I'm talking about humanizing the operation, humanizing the club. This picture right here, I took that picture, and it reminded me very much of a very famous picture, The Gleaners by Lié, and I put those two in there, and I posted that. And what was interesting is, not everybody's going to get that, but I'm sitting in the clubhouse, and somebody comes up to me and they go, "Hey, Chris, you're interested in art?" I said, "Yeah, indeed I am." So now we have a conversation. We've connected on more than turf grass. We are more than just grass growers in our business. So what about our personal life? Yes or no? I tend to not put my personal life on there, but every once in a while I do. I coach high school soccer in the town where my club is. This is Westfield. This is the county champions, and so I'll put that in there. Sometimes I'll make a reference to that. Why? I'm humanizing myself as something more than just a grass grower. How have these things worked? Well, they humanize our department, our crew, and they humanize me. A lot of times it's not my strength to go up to the first tee, even though I know I need to do it, and I do it. My idea of hell on earth is to go to a cocktail party with 50 people I don't know. I'm just not that kind of person. But I try, I do my best. But I have found that this is a way to bridge those communication gaps that exist. It's a peek behind the curtains. It's an ongoing conversation more than anything else. It acts as a driver to our club website. A lot of our members sort of have gotten involved in our website and the other things that we do through following this Twitter feed. It's bridged communication gaps. Just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, and provides a solution to communication walls. I had a member of my club who just didn't care for me and didn't care for our operation and thought everything that I did was wrong. And there was nothing, and I couldn't even engage with conversation, so there was just this gap. And I started this Twitter account, and about a year and a half into it, he responded to me. He came up to me, you know, that's interesting what you were saying about this. I didn't talk to him. I talked to him in 3 years. And this was a way to bridge that communication gap with a guy who was not my fan. And it was meaningful to me because I had tried many different ways, and this is that way that got me around for this particular person. It also allows us to promote our vision and goals, and more than anything else, where I really found it helps to reduce some of that grill room chatter, the old stuff that used to be around. Now there's email chains that go around, but the old grill room chatter, it really has helped me to, by getting the facts out, it's eliminated a lot of the craziness that can happen in the club world. So gentle member training is something that I do on occasion. Ball mark and divot repair, cart traffic, pick restrictions. Please don't drive in the fescue. So I once showed pictures of tracks through a fescue, and I'm very pleased and thank you and all that. Then I showed a turtle going through the fescue, and the fescue knocked down. I said, here's a reminder not to go through the fescue, and it was a turtle. All kinds of different ways. But again, there's the good, there's the bad, and there's the ugly. So in my opinion, what is the good? I think it humanizes our department. I think it humanizes my team, and I think it humanizes me. I think it can excite, it can entice, and it can entertain if it's done well. I think it can inform, and in many respects, that's our goal, is to inform. I think it can connect and engage, and when appropriate, can identify members. So I'm going to show you some pictures in a little bit. There was one from a couple of years ago of Austin Sayer, and he just walked 18 holes carrying his own bag, 86 years old. And I just took a picture of him. I said, Austin Sayer just carried his own bag, 86. And it got a bunch of likes and a bit of comments. And Austin Sayer, who's not 86 years old, is not on any social media. Now is on social media because his grandchildren said, Grandpa, hey, what is the great? He could not have been more happy that he was posted on Twitter. You have to be careful of that stuff, but in this case, it worked out very well. I brought another person into the fold simply by identifying this feat of a guy walking 18 holes carrying a bag at age 86. I try to focus on good photography. I don't spend, as do some, more than a minute or two per post. I tell you that because I spoke to people who are professionals who do Instagram stuff for an association, and she told me that she will sometimes spend 1 hour for an Instagram post, 1 hour of preparation, because it's so important that it's thoughtfully done and penetrated at the various markets and all that stuff. I get the word out in about a minute. It's easy to do. I like to support the mission, explain goals, and discuss challenges. When done well, you're going to be producing a movie. Complete story arcs, information, entertainment. It's a story. So I showed you this picture last year, for those who were here. This is part of the construction we had just done, and we just decided to do the fourth green at the last minute. In the lower left-hand corner, you can see the guy climbing the tree. You can see the head of that guy on the pointer. So this is before, and then after that tree got removed, and you can see the dramatic difference. So there's a tweetable moment for it. So those are the goods. The bads, well, anything that's long. Long film clip, long blogs, long articles, doesn't work. I've tried it. It doesn't work. I've talked to my friends at the USGA. They've done some great little videos on how to fill a divot, how to practice on a tee, how to fix a ball mark. And I forget what the number is. 2 minutes, and I think probably 1 minute's better. Anything more than 2 minutes is not going to get much. And I think 1 minute's probably even better, or even less. When I post a video, it's usually 10 seconds. So anything that's long doesn't work. No media, just putting words, it doesn't work for me. It works best for me with a picture or a little video and some words, or poor photography doesn't work either. Infrequent posting is not good. My members have gotten used to getting a tweet a day from me in season, and that's what I try to give them. And I think because of that, they come looking for the daily tweet, and it's interesting because it's, hey, you need a tweet today, what's going on? I said, I'm busy. Links to photos of long articles, I've done it, but it doesn't work. Shorter is better, and shorter is better. Too many emails, I talked about it before, my club has had a problem with just everybody gets emails for a variety of different things. And I might get 20 to 30 different emails from Echo Lake Country Club, and I'm on 3 different lists, so that's about 60, and I keep on zapping these things. So reining in the emails is a good way to improve. Here's an example of, oh yeah, it's good. Yeah, let's watch that again. There it is. So I was putting a lot of pictures of trees coming down, these woody weeds, and I was all proud of myself putting a little video. There's my video right there, and then my boss finally sent me not really angry, but he was getting a response from it. He had no more pictures of trees getting killed, sorry. I said, but there's so many good trees going down. So, the ugly, I gotta go with bad on it. Off-color humor of any type, bad. Unprofessional photographs, bad. Politics, stay away. Anger, stay away. I've seen some angry or maybe push that send button just a little bit too quickly. Off-target post, bad. Improper photos or likes. Even liking something. If you like something political, if you like something that has got an innuendo on there, you've got to be super careful, because anytime you touch that like button, that sends a message to everybody that follows you, and you're sort of now, you're in a zone you probably want to avoid. There's all kinds of ugly out there. This is the most benign ugly one I can find. I don't like this. This is a superintendent, and he said to avoid an angry greenkeeper, remember, do this, do that, do this, do that. That's instructional and angry. I get the fact that he's trying to use humor in there, but I think that crosses a line. I think you're looking for trouble with just that kind of humor. Even though I go for humor, I think that angry doesn't work. Memberships turn over every 15 years if your club is like mine. Do the new members know what you're trying to achieve? Do they have an idea what your mission is, what your goals are, and why? I think when done well, social media gives you the opportunity to have that conversation, have that discussion, ongoing discussion with our members. We want them to know where we are going, and we want them to be with us on the journey. We want them to be supporting us, and I know that Twitter for me has really made a huge difference in my operation, a massive difference, and it took me by surprise. I didn't expect it. So each post is a snapshot. I think our collective posts are a movie, so what I'd like to do in the few minutes I've got left is I've gone through and I picked about 1 out of every 4 tweets just from this past year, just to give an idea of how I post at ELCC Greens. So it's a year in the life of Echo Lake Country Club Green Department, and I'm not going to read all these. I'm just going to show you sort of the things that I do and that have worked for me. So before this meeting last year, the Tri-State Turf Research Foundation, we had a meeting and we talked about our research goals. You can hear about that in a little bit. And we also did planning for this meeting last year. And there's the meeting. It's up here in MGA headquarters, and I talked about that. Or I'm polishing the floors. This always gets me very excited when I polish the floors, because it's the last thing we do before the crew gets back and gets them all dirty for us. So the polish of the floors is like, okay, spring is here, let's go. In this case, I teach an 8-hour seminar on physiology at the national show, and it seems like bragging to talk about it, but when, in this case, somebody was in the audience and said something nice about it, what I've done is retweeted that. So there are times that I'm going to retweet. In this case, it was for a seminar I give on physiology with Dr. Wong, or in this case, this is a budget seminar I give out at the same class on budgeting. So it's a retweet, and what I'm trying to do there is let my members know there's more to me than the person that they think they know. There's a lot, hopefully they understand there's just more to Chris Carson. I got a chance to meet Ernie Els while I was out there, so that's interesting as well. Or in this case, what are we doing in the winter? Well, we're not sitting around playing cards. In this case, what we're doing is painting cups and replacing ferrules on the flag sticks. Or saw that, just an interesting picture of slow sliding off. I stood there waiting for that thing to fall off. It never did, so I took the picture and moved on. I wanted to get a video of it. It's pretty cool. I'm sure there's physics in that. In this case, what we're doing is we're cleaning the teak benches that I have to get rid of now. These are anybody wants some teak benches? I got about 26 of them. But again, so about labor, what we're doing here is power washing and prepping and teak oiling the benches before and the after. We're letting people know that we're doing work on their behalf, even though it's January, February in this case. Or there's the Jenga boxes of the ball crates stacked up right there, and getting that ready. And it's sort of like, that's March 13th. So again, I'm doing a couple things there. I'm talking about the things that we're doing, but I'm also sort of getting people in the mind of, hey, spring is coming, let's go. Let's get onto the golf course. This one, I got a lot of response on this one. It's just sort of like a picture that I saw, where's north. It was just interesting photography for me. This is the way my mind works. This is our Golf Pro, our new Golf Pro, and this is an example of how photography, just done quickly, isn't as powerful as the actual photograph. Now, if you touch on that Not many people do this. You can track this. But if you touch on that picture, it's a better picture. There's the picture. And what he's doing is he's preparing the logo thing that goes over the shot. But sometimes it doesn't always work. That's our golf pro preparing that before winter last year. This is, last year was a real cold spring. Our USGA friends will tell you that the soil temperatures never got up, and therefore bent grass lagged, and anybody that aerified early heard from their members, how come the greens aren't filling in and recovering, and we know the answer, and it's all about soil temperatures. And this was a retweet that I put. Matt Elmore is the lead scientist at Rutgers, and I retweeted it, and I think I had 20,000 people retweet this. And this is 20,000 people see it, I should say, because this resonated with some of my superintendent friends, trying to get the word out of why our greens were not recovering as quickly as they might. It was all about soil temperatures, and this is in April of last year. We had some snow. I don't know if you can really see that well enough. Can you sort of see the line there? It's inside the yellow. Well, really what it is, it discovered that slight depression there, which is a long-lost 16-inch city waterline that was discovered just because we had a dusting of snow. And that got a lot of response, just a picture like that. Or we've got a dog helping with course cleanup, and this is a member's dog. So now we're into the end of April. Here we are. So what am I doing this? So we're doing a number of things here. We're talking about how we're working in a bunker, about how we're trying to make the bunkers better. This is the biggest complaint that we have. But I'm also reinforcing the fact that elves aren't doing it. I've got a crew out there, and they're out there in the rain, in the cold, in the rain, doing work on their behalf. And what I'm trying to do here is humanize our operation and let them know that our employees are working hard on their behalf. This is just a picture I took of the first tee. Sort of exciting, got me excited about spring and people like that. Or this is before and after of a project. This is our halfway house opening day, talking about some of the work that we've done. I took this picture of a 13-year-old caddy, and I just thought it was a cool picture of a caddy. It says there, his hat's bigger than the tires on my car, and I got about 3 likes on that. And then this elderly woman came up, who I didn't really know. I sort of knew, I didn't know her name. She was gushing about it because that was her grandson right there. Also just broke 72 for the first time. He's a good player. But he's wearing this gigantic hat, and I just thought it was a cool moment. So that's what I sort of focus on. Or this, what I'm doing here now, it's May, and I'm trying to say, hey, look, the golf course is nice. Come on out and play your golf course. So sometimes I'll do that. And so now I'm supporting the mission of the golf professional, saying, let's get people out here. Let's get people onto the golf course. This is the Rutgers Turfgrass Classic at Fiddler's Elbow, 380 golfers on 3 golf courses to support Rutgers turfgrass research. That's something that I find is twittable and interesting. In this case, this is a little video I did. I didn't have enough time to get the video working. I'm not that technically savvy. I'd have had to separate this, but whenever you clean a drain on a golf course, all superintendents know there's a rule that you have to then watch the water flow down into that drain. And with satisfaction, say, look what I did. So I got a lot of response. In this case, it's raining, so we're using the opportunity to use the rain to wash in wetting agents, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that we do on behalf of the golf course to try to make it better, reducing localized dry spot. This is just a retweet of Myopia, which is just a great golf course. I believe Myopia is just one of my all-time favorites. And if you played the 9th hole at Myopia, who's played the 9th hole at Myopia, the par 3? You never forget it, am I right? Never forget it. So it's just my chance of talking about golf a little bit. 2 assistants, which one arrived a little bit late this morning, and obviously the one with the slippers on. Okay. So is there a correct way to fix ball marks? Yes, there is. And here's what I said. Instead of just posting it, but I said, here's this 1-minute USGA video that reveals the trick. So I've done 2 things there. 1, I told them it's only a minute of your life, and 2, it reveals the trick. So now this is a teaser to try to get a minute. There is a trick, because most people do not repair ball marks properly. Most people do it incorrectly. In this case, it's not a great picture, but you can see my assistant there, she's seriously considering about getting a regrip on that club face. Again, I got some laughs on that. That one got a lot of laughs. I didn't show the dead carcass. What I showed was the feather. It was coyote versus goose. A lot of people like that one. In this case, this is before and after of shielding a dump and putting a mound in with some fescue. And again, these are the kinds of things. This is a video, and this is a big undulating green on our practice green, but the video kicks in, and it just shows that there's going to be a putting contest that I never guessed. So this is, again, a 10-second video that sort of entices people to come up and be a part of that early. My guy's out doing a small irrigation repair, talking about some of the things that we do on an ongoing basis. Happy Father's Day. Life of a superintendent. When a golfer or TV announcer says the greens are slow, many superintendents hear your children are ugly. And I think it's better. The greens aren't as fast as usual today. Now, I got about 3-4 likes on that. I said, okay, well, that didn't go over very well. I'm sitting at lunch about 3 days later at the clubhouse, sitting at lunch, and somebody about 3 chairs down called over to me, hey, Chris. I said, yeah. Hey, your greens are slow. And I looked at him, and I knew exactly what he was saying, so I put down my fork and said, we're going to the parking lot and taking care of this. So you never know what's going to work and what's not going to work. But that's true. I mean, when people say your greens are slow, we hear things differently than other people do, because we're crazy. This is one, the greens chairman in the room probably don't get this, but the MGA guy might. This is just, they were marking greens for one of the events we had this year, State Amateur or something, and that got all kinds of retweets. There's like 18,000 people looking at this one. So dawn breaks over the Manhattan skyline. Or how about this one? It was a hole-in-one for the Polo Invitational. And this is what I used to put a hole-in-one in the Polo Invitational. This is what I said. Serena Spursky from Temecula, California, found a way to avoid putting out our fast greens on an ace on hole 3. What did she do before picking up a ball, fix her ball mark? That's my kind of golfer. So what I'm doing there is A, talking about the tournament, B, talking about the hole-in-one, but what else am I doing? I'm reinforcing one of our goals. Let's get those ball marks fixed. Here's someone who just scored a hole-in-one. Most people in this room are going to run over to that and not think about that ball mark. So that's my way of getting our goals and aspirations across. Or in this case, the party's over. The good practice balls are disappearing, and out come the yellow ones again. This guy lit it up. Akshay Bhatia, he beat the field by 15 strokes, 17 under par. Crazy, and he's about to go pro right now, right? So. Anyway, we had some great golf at Echo Lake Country Club this year. This is a little video of our dog about to go chase some geese. This is a little video of our fans blowing a flag on the 16th hole. And again, what we're trying to do is talk about why that fan is there and what it's doing. So again, this is just talking a little bit about what we're doing and why. There's that picture of the irrigation. This is my picture of the Redan hole. I got a lot of response on this, just a simple old picture of the Redan hole. But if you're into Scottish links golf, as am I, if you play this hole, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's just a great golf hole. And it's a template, if you will, for many Redan holes throughout the Northeast. This is the State Amateur. Talk a little bit about golf. This is the Club Championship, and you can see there on Use GGID. There was a live scoring link and Instagram link that was that the Pro Shop was doing to update members on the Club Championship. So I just used this as a way to coordinate with them. This is last year. This is a Saturday. That was the kind of stuff we were dealing with, and this is my shutting down golf course at Echo Lake, even though it stopped raining on a Saturday for the first time in 34 years at Echo Lake. We drained so well that this is the first time I'd ever shut without it actually being raining. But I showed why. This is just sunrise to the clubhouse window showing the humidity and talking about how that affects golf with disease. This one, my assistants, we're fixing some of these dead spots in the fairways. And I said, oh, is this how you did it before lasers? Said my two assistants. And I said, well, yes it was, back in the olden days. This is at Dumpy level, so this is old school architecture right here, but this is just shooting a grade. Assistant getting married, fixing problems. In this case, this is one I spent the 31st of August, was Metro weather. So how do you know if you're connecting? In this case, I just talked about the unbelievable pressure we had. This is what I sent via Twitter. And over here, when you can push a button on here and see how many people opened it, how many looked into it. You can see 22,000 people saw that tweet. Many engaged with it, many retweeted it. So sometimes you get these things that connect with people. This is not my golf course, though I had some turf that looked like this. This was Adam Moeller, a little video. I think Adam did this, didn't he, Dave? Did you do it?
I think it was Paul.
Okay, well, he just raised his hand. So let's give him credit. What credit is due. But again, I linked to that, and again, the cost of a wet summer. Again, I'm finishing up now before and after some of those wet spots. They weren't big, but they were important in our club. I want them to know that every time I read the Odyssey, there's a great quote about the rosy fingers of dawn, and it was that kind of a morning. So I wanted my people to know that I'm not just a grass grower. I try to have a mind in my body. Or this one, I talk about the wear down and using that as a metaphor for superintendents being worn down this year. Sometimes all it takes is a good picture. Sometimes it's okay, so this is a November, and I'm just trying to encourage people to come out for the last couple days of the year. This is Rutgers students graduating. So I have to talk about this for just a second because we had a wet year and there's some nasty email chains going around, and I was doing the best I can to combat it. And one of the questions is, well, let us know when we'll come up and we'll screech in the golf course. This is the board members talking. And I said, okay, superintendents understand what I'm saying. I said, well, okay, that's thanks for offering, but we know that, because we know what it means to squeeze you fairway. It's hard work. We had some low spots, and we're so well drained, we don't have any drains in these low spots, but it rained so much that they were overwhelmed. This year, in January, whatever it was, the 20th, It was a Sunday, and at noon it stopped raining, and then we were going to have that polar vortex come in. It was going to be 4 degrees that night, and superintendents know that we've got to go out, we've got to get water off the greens in low spots, and as much as we can off the fairways, because that can cause direct death of grass. So we were out there, and I just I texted my boss, the president of the club, and said, well, if you're serious about it, now's the time, because there's vortex coming in. And I got 4 or 5 board members to come up and find out what squeegeeing fairways is all about. And consequently, they approved putting drains in, by the way. In that area. So it was good in so many different ways, because 2 hours of pushing a 1.5 foot puddle with nowhere to push it, and then you understand that you've got to find a way to get the water off. So, then about a month ago, we had a meeting for this meeting, and this is the Tri-State Turf Research Foundation, talking about preparation for this. I want to show you this. I teach a lot of the classes at Rutgers. One of them is a 3-week class, and found unicorn, green chairman. This is one and only time I've ever seen this at Rutgers University. A Greens chairman at New Jersey Club attending Rutgers 3-week turf short course. Why? Because he wanted to be an informed Greens chairman. And I was astonished by that, as were the other teachers and professors that were teaching this class. So I put this picture out there of this guy, and just to let you know, it went out to my 600 followers. Most of them were Echo Lake members, but it resonated with the superintendents and the former students, and just to show you how maybe 14,000 people saw that tweet. It's one of the reasons why we're here today. We're here today because superintendents in the room know a lot of things about the golf course. Greens chairmen know a lot of things about the members and the expectations and anticipations, if you will, of the members. When we can bridge those communication gaps by being informed, it makes us all better. It makes us better as superintendents, it makes you better as Greens chairman, and the more there's communication, the more valuable we're all going to be as an entity to serve our club. So how do I define success? For me, it's, in that case, hey, it's engagement. Chris, your greens are slow, told me that he'd been reading my tweets, and sort of got into it, and knew what to say and how to say it. He had enough sense not to say, Chris, your children are ugly. He said, Chris, your greens are slow. Metrics, you can open them, you can see likes, you can see follows, you can just sort of see the metrics, what's working, what isn't. Members are updated. You know, when you have a conversation, I walk through the clubhouse or on the 18th green or something, and somebody comes, you know what you're saying about the second green is right. Yeah? They're engaged and they're following me. You sense that there's more connection. This is absolutely the case with me, and I'm in the middle of an ongoing conversation. That is my success story at Echo Lake Country Club. And no better way of putting it is when somebody comes up to me, and I've had a lot of my members of my club say this, I love your Twitter feed. So, that's my story at Echo Lake Country Club and social media. Am I running late? Do we have any questions that I can answer? Yeah.
Yeah, so you're on Twitter, I assume your club has email, maybe somebody else in the club has Instagram. Is there any, like, you know, it's not like cohesive branding between all the different people that have all the different social media?
There is cohesiveness. We actually have a woman in the pro shop. The woman who's in charge of managing the pro shop is also in charge of social media outreach, and she runs the Instagram feed. She coordinates with me a little bit, but there is no coordinated effort to brand. We're just not into that, the branding thing. To reach out, to engage, yes, branding, no. But there is a person in charge of social media. And there's ongoing communication meetings all the time. And we're trying to reduce the emails, we're trying to clean up the websites, we're trying to find the outreach. They're using as a model, interestingly, this Twitter account. As a matter of fact, it's on when you open up the website, it goes right to the Twitter account, the front page, because they like the engagement and the rapidity of it and the frequency of it.
So does, like, the head pro have their own Twitter account?
You know what, the pro shop runs Instagram and I run Twitter is how it works.
Okay.
And sometimes we'll cross pollinate. Yes? Well, again, I'll say it again, it's a room full of unicorns right here. You've got Greens chairmen who are interested in what superintendents do, and I can only applaud your effort. Thank you for being here. Thanks a lot.